All right, call this meeting of the village, the planning board of the Village of Cold Spring to order. I don't have any remarks for today. Does anyone have any items to add or modify for the agenda?
No.
Okay. Let's look at the meeting minutes from the 24th. I think we were all here. Where?
Where is that in all this? Oh, there we go. Right before I got to it.
Oh, good. Me?
Seems to have a snazzy new layout.
It's good to have again. I like it.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from July 24th, 2025.
Second.
There?
Aye.
Yes. All right, move on to our main business. Public hearing for 1 Depot Square. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open the public hearing for the, what is it, 1 Depot Square and dining pavilion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. The notice into record. Please take notice of the village, the planning board of the Village of Cold Spring will hold a public hearing pursuant to 134.16.1b and 134.17m of village law on Thursday, August 14th, 2025, Village Hall, 5 Main Street, Cold Spring, New York, and be a video conference starting at 7 p.m. The planning board will consider the application by James and Copeland, representing the owner of Cold Spring Main Street Properties 1 Depot Square. The subject property designated 48.12-2-1 on the tax maps at 1 Depot Square, Cold Spring, New York, Business 1 District, as well as the village's historic district. The applicants propose installation of a pavilion, which requires site plan review and parking table. The planning board will consider all verbal and or written statements from all persons interested in the proposed application in the various manners described above. The planning board will also consider such. All right, some record keeping. Has the notice been timely published in the official newspaper?
Yes.
I see we have proof of mailing to affected parties. And I have an affidavit of signage. Have we received any public comment in writing, email, or in person?
No.
I don't think we've made a secret determination for this. I think it's type 2. Yeah. So, do we need to take a vote for that, or?
No,
kind of
you,
state it?
yeah, you can state it and we can bake it into any resolution,
Okay.
when you're ready.
Okay, great. So this is a type 2 action under secret, does not require further environmental review. All right, the applicant can come and present to the board. the application and in entirety, please.
This. Suffice? Okay.
Do we have anyone online? Coming up? Hi there. Oh, hey, Jaja.
Hi, everyone.
So 1 Depot Square, we're proposing adding a 25 by 50-foot 1-story pavilion onto the current outdoor seating gazebo area of the site. We have our parking count as far as what is contained within the bounds of the survey. We have 27 spaces of the required 26 spaces. There's some question as to which of those spaces are allocated for public right-of-way by the village, which I think we'll be talking about tonight. But just in terms of the survey of the property and where the property line stands, that's what's contained within the meets and bounds. As far as a more detailed site plan goes, we are going to be maintaining the existing paver patio, extending and removing any areas minimally as necessary to bring it up to the footprint of the new pavilion. We're going to be removing 1 tree, the existing gazebo, a bit of boulders, and some stone walls to be redistributed in a landscaping layout further on, cleaning up the existing vegetation, which is a bit overgrown towards that end of the property, relocating the flagpole and monument that are currently there, and maintaining the current access from entrance. Some photos of the site as it is now. Sands Pavilion. And then some imagery of the proposed pavilion, which would be a metal and glass greenhouse type structure, which is intended to replicate the original details of the main restaurant building and just kind of, celebrate the heritage of this area and, the metalworking that went on there historically. Then the only other items in question were gutters and drainage, just making sure that nothing is shed onto the sidewalk, onto the paver patio, or into the road. And we have some copper gutters blending into the style of the building that will distribute the water towards the rear of the site.
Is that, I know that you've been working with the HDRB. Did the design of the gazebo or of the pavilion change much?
They, I think, had some comments about the ornamentation, which was toned down a little bit, but they referred us to here, so they haven't necessarily seen the updates as much as you guys have at this point.
And it's been kind of been bouncing around a little bit. Moved a small amount.
Okay.
But we would prefer not having that item.
Okay.
We get a little more detail on the stormwater containment.
Do you want to talk about that?
On the.
On the stormwater?
Oh, sure. It's, it is 8 inches in depth. It is 49 feet long. It is,
Drainage stretch.
yes, 3.5 feet wide. Has 2 6-inch copper gutters that will go directly into that.
Okay.
And then there's actually vegetation that is in front of that.
Okay.
So that'll help. The plants will help absorb a lot of that water as well.
What will happen to the water if that's not enough?
The only other, it's slightly downhill, so we have about 7 more feet. No, I'm sorry, we have about 4 more feet.
Is this towards the tracks?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, it's fine.
Okay,
I'm
it
good.
goes nowhere other than downhill.
Thank you.
I saw that, you submitted, an email about formalizing, that you were in the process of formalizing, an agreement with MTA about the usage of their property. So is there, you have a sense of like the timeline of having that formalized?
So when I spoke with them 2 days ago, they changed legal teams and we should have an agreement. But they've been saying that since I started this in February of 2023.
Okay.
So we've been going back and forth for 2.5 years.
Okay.
But they said it is in the works and they, obviously the email says as such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's less of preparing a new agreement than extending an existing agreement, yeah.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
we were talking earlier, kind of off the record, was that Greg has been making all the payments to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, even without.
Right.
So basically, they've been cashing the check, so. It's
Right.
Did you also get a copy? Did you see the photo that was attached
Yeah.
for the aerial view?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one.
the ones with the parked cars on it.
Right.
So this is an interesting one where we have kind of a de facto agreement. You've been paying for it, but not an actual written agreement. And it seems risky potentially to rely on them getting to an actual written agreement on, like, you know, one path that we can take on an application like this is to make an approval condition on the receipt of that agreement. But if you've been working for 2 years on trying to get something, I would hate for you to have that in limbo.
Mhm.
So, but when it comes to the consideration of the parking spaces, I'm wondering if it would be more prudent to not consider that space for now, just so that your application is not hung up on that being a condition.
The only thing I would say to that is the precedent has been there to use of parking for a very long time. And as we talked about in the photo, there's cars parked there.
Yeah. Does the village attorney have any thoughts here on whether we can kind of take established use
Yeah,
as an
so
agreement?
trying to catch up, so I'm gonna ask a couple of questions. So you're talking about the MTA agreement where you have like the tables set up on the side, right by the tracks?
Yeah.
No, well,
It goes,
this area back here, where you can fit.
Parking lot actually extends
Oh,
to
you're saying.
past the property line to the
So that's,
boundary.
that's why I was curious where you're getting the number 27,
Right,
because this map only shows 24, but it doesn't have,
oh, that must be, yes.
it's an older,
outdated.
it's an older one.
Yeah, so just legally without any additional agreements, there is room for a couple of spots in there, but I mean, really, there's room for quite a bit more with the previously standing, kind of expired but ongoing agreement with the
Right,
MTA.
so I didn't look at the old agreement close enough, and I don't know what it covered or entailed, but
I don't think we have an old agreement written.
I think there was.
there is one from 2007.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
The village definitely has a copy.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think there was an agreement and it just expired, but you're going month to month because, you know, you're making the payments.
Based on the same
Yeah.
agreement.
Right, so I mean. I think I guess there's two questions, does the original agreement allow for parking as well as for the dining? I didn't look at it from that component, and then the other question is. How many more spots do you think you can get in there, assuming the MTA is okay with it?
With just the code required space needed for a spot, not how many cars we could actually jam in, I'm probably 5 or 6 more spots in there. In addition to, you know, a few that have been added on already.
Right, I mean, honestly, it's really just a matter of the waivers, right? You already did you request the waivers yet from the village board?
I think we were
Well, I think
discussing whether it was gonna be.
Yeah, we're waiting
referred or
for
not.
this.
Yeah, we wanted to know what number to request. That was,
Okay.
that was the important part. So, we were hoping to get more clarity on that agreement and, I believe where we settled last time, you can tell me if we have a different opinion now, but that basically the nature of the public right of way basically, means that the spaces that are currently on the street cannot be counted as off-street parking.
Except for the 9, right? I think.
Well, basically, yeah, because
Yeah.
because of kind of established
Prior-
use,
prior
prior use
stuff.
that we said that those 9 could be
Right.
used, so.
Well, and the reason for that is because when you look at the definition of off-street parking, it says that it can't be on a private. So even though this could be, I mean, I think it's public by use, but even, it's on a street, and the
Mhm.
street is defined as public or private. So I think we all agree that this is a street, but that's just the way the code defines off-street parking. It can't be on any street, whether it's public or private, and that's kind of where we came up with the analysis, but then we said, well, wait a second, there's been 9 spots that have historically been designated, so let them get credit for those 9.
Yeah.
I think that's fair, and then the other ones would be subject to the waiver.
May
So,
I slightly interrupt?
Yeah.
The width of the right of way is 50 feet. And when it was brought up last, that this deed was enacted in 1882. The building, the train station wasn't built until 1884. And it actually wasn't finished and in full use until 1897. So the fact that this deed dates even the original beginning of the building. So I don't know how it can, this deed, this 50-foot wide can be considered in our parking. Where does the 50 feet, start and stop? And if you take it from the furthest end where it is right of way.
I think
And
it's
we-
shown on the survey that you have.
Yeah, but our area there is far more than 50 feet.
Correct, I understand that, but there is a 50-foot right of way, it shows up on your survey. Correct? And in that right of way, there's definitely access, and traditionally, I think it's not unreasonable to assume that when you have a right of way for access, there's also other, parking, it kind of goes hand in hand with the access.
Working along with the fact that the public parking that is being offered and given the village permission to use by Greg. You have no question about the fact that that's okay and legitimate for parking. But you're saying that, so we can use it for public parking, but we can't use it for our own private parking.
well, I think the,
Historically, that's how it's been used.
and the reframe. Parking,
But you're saying that you can't use right of way for parking.
the village can,
But the village can?
yeah, the village.
I think it's a reasonable assumption, if you have a right of access, you have the right to park there.
So where does the 50 feet start and stop?
Yeah, it's on your survey, I think your survey.
Okay.
And in fact, you could kind of see it overlapping with some of the parking spots. But it's definitely shown on your survey.
Well, I think also just like kind of keeping us on, like, focused on like the actual like task here in terms of what we're trying to clarify. So whether we include the MTA spaces, whether we include like even if we included all the spaces in front of the depot, we still need to request waiver for some amount, right? And so I think that like that's a step we will need to take in order to get this approved at the end of the day. So then at the end of the day, we're literally just saying, what number are we writing on that waiver to send over to the village board? And my suggestion here is that, given that it's just that number, and that it sounds like we have an old agreement. There's some question about what the language is in there, about whether it allows for parking. You're getting a new agreement. There's some question about how long it's gonna take. It's really, I guess it is up to the applicant to decide how they want to proceed there, because there's the number of waivers has a cost associated with it, right? So
The question I'm having, if we're talking about historical use of the parking,
Yeah.
then wouldn't I get credit for the MTA allotted spaces?
Have they historically been used for parking areas?
Yes, there's a paved parking lot, there's a parked car in the MTA
I
photo.
guess it's a little different because that's not village controlled or.
I'm just saying,
village
if we're talking,
interested.
if we're talking about,
MTAs.
if we're talking about historical use, that has been used for that. So I feel like I should get credit for it, at least that if the village is saying that there's historical use for the spots on my.
it's probably about, it's about
It's not our
jurisdiction.
call, like, it's not our call as far as whether, like, for the public right of way, we're saying, because the village kind of has somewhat of a say, because it does have a public right of way or the right of way in there. But as far as, you know, I don't know if the MTA is gonna historically be as forgiving. You know, we can't make that call, and that's the big unknown, and how long it's gonna take to get that answer. I mean, for you're looking at maybe 5 spaces. So the question is really whether it's 14 waivers or 9 waivers. That seems to be I mean, I think it's up to you if you want to wait for the MTA, if you want, I mean, I could take a look at the agreement to see. And if you do have historical photos, I can kind of take a look at it, but it's really just gonna be time.
The only photo I'm talking about is the one that you have.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. There's a car parked.
And they supply,
I mean,
It's not striped, is it?
No, they're not striped.
but that was supplied by the.
Right. I mean, you know, they're not striped. The ones in the right of way at least are striped. But again, it's really MTA is the one that's gonna be like, yeah, okay, sure, you guys can continue to park there, or you know what? We don't want you guys parking there.
Well,
I mean,
how would that be communicated to us, except in the form of an agreement?
correct, yeah, something.
So we're still kind of
letter-
waiting, we're still waiting for more or less the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
or a letter from the MTA or.
We have a letter, but I don't, say something specific.
Email.
We have an email.
Email that it's in the voice.
Let me see here. All right,
Does
so,
the village have a concept of how many square feet make up a space?
yeah, it's in the code.
Yeah, so it would have, whatever spaces you could get in there would have to meet all the specific requirements for a space. That's a good point. That's why I kind of asked, I mean, maybe 5, but could be more, could be less. And it's gotta, you know, it's gotta be able to work.
Oh, I can read this. This is from Jason Ortiz with the MTAHQ.org. MTA is currently drafting an agreement with Cold Spring Main Properties for use of approximately 3,019 square feet of MTA property adjacent to former Metro North Cold Spring Station, 1 Depot Square, located east of the Hudson Line right of way in Cold Spring, New York. Approximately 1,093 square feet of the property will be used for outdoor dining in connection with the Main Street Properties restaurant, and 1,926 square feet for storage and uses deemed necessary to the licensee. Please find the attached aerial out.
Oh, this is from.
Yes, that's from the, yeah, here's the, yeah. great.
Okay.
So, I mean, given that we have a record from the MTA saying that they are okay with uses.
Yeah,
They're drafting agreement saying that they're okay with uses deemed appropriate by the leasee.
storage and uses deemed necessary.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that,
So, I mean, I would like to take a closer look, but that makes it feel a little more comfortable.
yeah.
But I think we kind of need to know
We
exactly.
need a site plan updated with the
How
actual,
many actual spaces you're gonna get on there that meet code. Cause it's gonna take, it could take forever. The fact that you actually got a hold of somebody is amazing.
I've been able to get a hold of someone all along, but the legal department at NTA has been the holdup.
Right.
Okay, so, I think the parking is essentially the remaining issue, right?
No issue.
Okay, so, I think, can we go ahead and open the meeting to public comment? So, Jaja, you're the only one here.
Am I?
Yeah, just so you know, if you are interested in making public comment about this application, state your name and address for the record. Please address your questions to the board and not to the applicant. We may refer the question to the applicant, but, generally we're the mediator here. And, yeah, we may or may not answer questions that you have, unless it's procedural in nature, so. All right, with that, I'll open for public comment.
Sure.
Jaja, would you like to make comment?
I don't need to. I'm Jaja. I live at 2 Depot Square. Just dialing in to learn a little bit more, but it sounds exciting and I'm supportive, so that's all.
Thank you for your comment.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, my feeling is that given that we don't quite have. I think like if we're going to, I think we still don't quite have all we need if we're gonna consider these spaces in the back. So if the applicant would like us to try to move forward on considering those spaces, I think we have a path. But I think we can't do it today. So,
Yeah, you gotta see how many spaces you can get, that way we'll have an exact number. You guys.
And we'll-
meet twice a month, right?
what was that?
You guys meet once or twice?
Twice a month, yeah, twice a month.
You have something that have those spaces used.
We have the spaces outside of the MTA. Yeah. Can I ask? Is this something that requires a furthering of the public hearing, or is it something that can be like X amount spots referred to the village board for a parking waiver conditional on calculations from an updated site plan?
There's a couple of paths and they all have different, strengths and weaknesses. So we could try to craft a set of conditions and say, look, if all these conditions are met, then we can, the site plan can be stamped and approved and we go about our businesses. Those will definitely include like if you're asking for a parking waiver, that the village board approves, enough waivers to have you meeting code. And if we are in a state where we also have to add additional conditions, which is like that we have a, notarized legal agreement between you and the MTA, then we will have to wait until, like, I won't be able to stamp any site plans until I have that. It'll be a condition of the approval.
I gotta let you know, Bill, what is the cost per space that you're making up?
Oh, I looked it up last time. What was it? 250? Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah.
So this is, about the layout and into the setback. Am I mistaken in thinking there's only one space number 25 that will be affected by this?
Talking about this is, all this space is paved
Right,
and it's owned by the MTA. So we're basically talking about the spaces you can fit in here.
but the applicant's getting to 27 spaces without that, right?
Well,
Right, but we're not letting them count.
so, yeah, so these can't be counted and we're saying these can't be counted.
10 through 20,
Right, okay.
and they've historically
So they have,
been given those.
they have the 9 and then 10, 11, 12, and then potentially whatever else is in here.
Count
Yeah,
in here. Okay,
yeah.
right, got it. So the delta is 5 spaces.
we need to squeeze them in to figure out exactly
Yeah,
what can be legally achieved in the space.
So nine's a given.
No, I think
Not
12. Yeah, 12, right? Because we have the 3 on the side.
We're talking about $1,200. Yeah, so I mean, let's just go for the 14 and just make this easy.
That sounds like a very reasonable plan.
That's what I would do.
I wish I had known that earlier, but
Yeah. All right, does the board have, any comments about sorry, well, I guess first I think that if we're gonna with, if the applicant's gonna go with the spaces that are listed
Right.
here, I think we don't need additional time to analyze anything, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that resolves the parking issue. My only other question is the variance. Did you guys obtain the variance?
Our public hearing is in 2 weeks.
for the zoning we're talking about, right? The setback?
Yep.
Yes, for the setback.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my only hesitation would be if for some reason the variance is denied, it's going to cause a shift.
Right, in the site plan.
In the site plan.
So in the case where we made the approval conditioned on it, we'd kind of be starting over.
So, yeah, you could make the approval condition on obtaining the variance, but if they don't obtain the variance, then they gotta come back.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, did you have an initial meeting with the ZBA? And they seemed somewhat receptive?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would kind of leave that up to the applicant if they
Yeah, I'm
want
fine with that.
to take that
Okay.
chance, quote unquote, I don't, I
Okay.
probably low risk, but I don't know how the
Pretty low risk.
ZBA receptive, receive
Okay.
it. So, you wouldn't be able to sign the actual site plans until we have that variance approval in hand. If they don't.
I'm going to sign a stickler.
Actually, you gotta, right.
That's true.
You'd probably, you have to do, not a new application, but you probably have to have another public hearing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So just throwing it all out.
Yeah, sure.
Already scheduled for a public hearing.
Yeah.
You're
pretty much.
saying if the zoning doesn't get approved, we have to come back and do this all over again.
Okay.
That feels like a
Not the
really.
whole application, just the.
Right, this is part of it, yeah. No,
If
I'm
you
not-
don't get the variance, then you got other problems, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 3 feet on the setback. The depot is 1 foot
Yeah.
already, so I'd be pretty surprised if we can't get that.
And it's whatever the length of it is, maybe 3 or 4 feet.
Okay.
And I would assume this agreement with the MTA probably also provides some relief to that problem as well.
Right, and we could probably get those spaces at that point. Well, I'm not gonna speak for them. It's been 2.5 years, but
Yeah.
you would think.
No, I mean, from the ZBA's perspective, it's not like the offset is being measured from the actual property line, which it should be. But you're getting, it basically gives you this additional like buffer.
Right.
So practically speaking,
Yes.
you have the right to use
Correct, yeah.
further than your property.
That's
line,
why I
right?
feel
Yeah.
pretty comfortable with that.
Okay.
Gamble.
Okay.
And then HDRB are still
We gotta go
going
back
back
to
and
that.
forth with them, so that would be another condition of the approval.
Sure.
So zoning approval, HDR approval, the waivers, the waivers on the village.
Well, the
board.
HDRB was a conditional on this approval,
Yeah.
so how did that work? They
Oh, so they did.
Yeah,
didn't give a conditional approval, but they basically said they're not kind of gonna look at it.
yeah, they want to
get the
refer
Approvals.
mostly to zoning, but yeah. That's a technical question I'm just curious about anyway. If I get planning board approval, what does the historic board approval have anything to do with the planning board approval?
So, well, the whole thing kind of interrelated. Each board has their own lane that they
Sure.
focus on.
Mhm.
But it's all related to the site plan.
Yeah.
And the planning board kind of has the ultimate say over the site plan, especially when the chair signs that site plan and then you can go for your building permit.
Mhm.
Because you can't obtain a building permit until you have a signed site plan from the chairman.
Okay.
So he's gotta, or we, the consultants, have to help him make sure that everything is, everything on this site plan has been approved, whether it's the variances, whether it's the HDRB. And so the planning board can give you a conditional approval,
Mhm.
but it's gonna be conditioned on other factors.
My question though is if the planning board essentially is approving conditionally, and we went back to with a historic issue. But it sounds like I'd have to come back here, kind of almost start over again.
No.
No, because
No, it's
the
just-
HDRB, like, they're concerned with the. Like, if we're helping to determine like the broad shape of the project and the site plan, they are concerned with details of the of the appearance, right? That,
I guess I'm referring back to when we were talking about if we don't get the zoning approval on the public hearing, that we'd have to come back here and almost restart. That's why,
You'd have to change your site plan.
so just because the site plan gets changed, then we have to come back
Then
here
it
because
comes
of
back
that.
here.
But
But if you get your approval from the ZBA and that doesn't change your site plan,
Right.
then the chair
And I-
can sign it once we have.
and I think you wouldn't call, like cosmetic modifications, like. a
No,
change
so
in the
there's,
site
it's
plan,
less
so-
likely that any HDRB changes, they're not gonna impact your site plan.
Right.
Yeah.
But the zoning obviously
Sure,
could,
yeah, okay.
because it
Yeah.
could shift the location of the pavilion. So usually HDRB, does not impact the site plans as
Okay.
much.
That's
It can
what
happen,
I'm
though.
curious about.
Yeah, I
Well,
would.
you don't have to come back here. If you get all your approvals from the HDRB, you get your approval from the zoning board, just have to give us copies and then we'll send like a memo or email to Jesse, say like, all right, it's good, you can sign the site plan.
And I'll walk down the street and I'll sign it and I'll stamp it
Sounds good.
and we'll be good. Okay, so I think that means, I think we can close the public hearing.
If the board is comfortable, I mean, if any other.
Close the public comment. That's what specifically, I mean, not close the public hearing. We will hopefully eventually get to that, but, can I get a motion to close the, public comment and record?
I'll make a motion to close the public comment on this project. 1 Depot Square.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Hillary, did you abstain?
no, I said. aye.
No, he was addressing me. So no more comments from anybody at this point.
No more public comment.
Public, okay,
Yeah.
so yes, put an agreement.
Okay, great. All right, now it's kind of board discussion, so from my perspective, I think, this feels like asking for what was the final number we said,
14 waivers?
we need 26.
Yeah.
And we have 12, so I think, so applicant's asking for the 14 waivers. I think the project as a whole I think it looks great, it's gonna be a good addition to that area. I appreciate taking seriously the drainage issue, because the village as a whole is struggling with the changing weather patterns, and I appreciate that as a kind of responsibly handling that. Yeah, that's all I have. What about other people?
I brought this up at the last meeting. When it comes to the waivers, having to pay for a waiver on the property that you already own. And to me, it's goodwill that I've parked in those places, those other parking spaces, everybody's parking over there. I personally would recommend that you petition, or we as the board recommend to the village board to do something about the waiver fee. Whether it's,
I think unfortunately it is written in the village code as.
Well, can't the village board
They
still
can-
say something, do
they-
something?
They can, my understanding is they can change the code, but that would be another public hearing. And a pretty substantial endeavor, so, but I think we're allowed to provide comment.
Mhm.
To the village board when we request the waiver on behalf of the
Yeah,
applicant.
usually you guys provide a recommendation.
Yeah. So we try to run a recommendation, and we can add some color commentary if the board would like me to add some additional color commentary about this particular property and, you know, that we, you know, if we agree that we are, you know, that we think it's a challenging situation that we would like the board to work, to do the best to work with the applicant to rectify. I think that's something we can definitely add into
That
the,
would be wonderful. I also want to add to an analogy to this. In Garrison, you've got the theater, you've got the the restaurant, you've got Dolly's, and you have tenants. So on show night, they park, the shows are after 6 o'clock on the weekends. They park at the MTA parking lot for free. So other than a Friday night in Cold Spring, before 6 o'clock, if you're having an event, it may behoove who's ever attending, your clients, hey, instead of paying any kind of parking fee for the weekend to Cold Spring, park at MTA for free. So that's what I have to say.
Thanks.
I feel for you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Henry?
Yeah, I think it looks great. The parking seems, just, something that's in the code that, sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense, but, it's what's there. And, so you gotta do the math and get on with life. So, but other than that, it looks like it's gonna be very nice. Does it have any air conditioning, heating?
It will, yes.
Okay. Is it?
Anyone else?
I'm just gonna, like I did at the last meeting, just agree with Hillary and say like, I'm the stickler about parking. And as my colleagues, I think will agree. And I just, if we had the ambit to, give the applicant more relief over parking spaces, I would definitely vote for that. I would like to, recommend that I comment to the village board does support relief of it. I think maybe we should even state how many spaces we feel.
We definitely should say the number of spaces, because that's, yeah, so for the 14, we'll include that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the full amount required to meet code.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Okay. Well, so I think what we're coming down to is, it sounds, we have like directional support. We're approving with a few conditions. Conditions of, approval of the variance sought by the zoning board. HDRB approval, the design. The granting of 14 waivers, parking waivers by the village board. Obviously the standard conditions, which is payment of all escrow fees. And I think we usually have, what are the other standard conditions?
ZBA,
I said ZBA,
oh, you did?
yeah, yeah. It should be waivers, fees. Yeah,
I think that's really it, because
Yeah.
you don't have any engineering comments
No, we don't.
outstanding.
no,
Not
the
much engineering to this.
no, we got the drainage was what we got from the village engineer, so that's been addressed.
Okay.
All right, if someone would like to make a motion, to approve this with those conditions.
Do we have to repeat the conditions?
All right, I can make the motion.
Please do.
All right, I'll submit a motion to approve the application. Conditioned on, the variance sought approved by the ZBA. HDRB approval of the design. The granting of 14 parking waivers by the village board. And payment of all outstanding escrow fees for consultants and other work.
I'd like to second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So I will, as usual, I'll memorialize a written.
Yeah.
Resolution, so that way we have it for the record.
Yeah.
And we'll circulate it to the board members, and if everyone's okay with it, you can sign it.
Yeah.
And we'll need the latest set of because I don't think I have the ones with
Oh,
these three.
what's new with this?
Can you send it electronically so that it's. Or actually send it to Abigail and then she can send them.
When is your next zoning board meeting?
The 26th, I think, it's.
Yeah.
2 Tuesdays away.
Do you recommend should I wait until the ZBA approves to send the requests or the waivers? Or do you guys go ahead and send it?
Well, if anything. I don't see how that's gonna impact the parking, right? Really, the only thing
Yeah,
that's gonna
that- I think
impact the
that's fair.
request for the
Yeah,
waivers.
all right,
would
I'll
be
go ahead and,
somehow a miracle that MTA, signs
I'll
off
go
on
ahead
the
and,
next 2
and,
weeks. So I would just,
make a referral this.
yeah, we have like a draft, you have a sample that we've done for other ones.
Yeah, yes. Okay,
But yeah, the parking is not gonna really be impacted shouldn't be impacted by the ZBA's decision.
I think that's it. Done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jojo.
Yeah. Have a good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks again.
Yeah.
Good night.
I don't have any more business.
I have a quick question, if I may.
Yeah.
Does the village board at least have the technical term wiggle room to say, oh yeah, they're asking for 14 waivers, but you know what? We're only gonna make them pay for 10 or 7. They can't do that.
They can't.
Okay, all right.
And critically, like, they don't have, obviously they can choose to grant however many waivers they feel is appropriate.
Mhm.
So they can choose not to grant the full 14 and it would come back. That we have to find some other relief for whatever.
They have to obtain variances,
Yeah.
but usually they abide by the planning board's recommendation and haven't had any issues in the 10 years I've been doing this.
They could, asking this question, they could say, you know what, we have faith that the MTA is going to allow parking, the spaces that are still up in the air that they don't have a contract for. Couldn't the village board say, you know what, we have faith that that's going to happen, but can they do that, or do they have to have the contract?
It would be a change in the site plan.
Okay,
So you unfortunately just make things harder for them.
of course, okay.
They have to treat everybody, they have to
Of
apply the
course.
law uniform, so when you start making special exceptions for one applicant, then other people start.
So she has the blindfold on. She's not supposed to see what's going on.
Scales adjusting.
Do we have any other condition here where there's the right of way for the parking that somebody owns? Is there another situation like?
Not that I know.
So this is, to me, this is an anomaly, so it's.
Yeah.
You know,
Unfortunately, you have to apply the code, and the code's definition of off-street parking specifically says you can't be on a street, whether it's public or
For
private.
what it's worth, I think like that fact would also be great grounds for a variance sought for the parking requirements to be granted.
Okay.
Because it is anomaly and the spaces are there. It kind of, but I think that like, that would be, like, if you really didn't wanna pay, you could seek a variance. I think you would have, ZBA would be reasonable in applying the rubric and deciding this is
Okay.
an unusual circumstance.
Thank you.
Yeah, so.
It's such a tricky legacy real estate.
Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah.
It's a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of move- lot of
ZBA on one side, you've got a public right of way that was granted over 120 years ago on the other side.
right,
Um,
very loose paperwork from that, so I understand.
And it happens when you have these old villages, believe me, this isn't the first time we've come across a tricky situation. History,
I'm sure there are weirder ones that you've encountered too.
The village of Cold
Yeah.
Spring.
Yeah.
You guys are famous for that.
Yeah.
We're proud of it.
Yeah.
Are these waivers a way for the village to make money as well?
It is, and they're supposed to use that money to, build a new parking lot or upgrade the parking lot, put in the parking meters in the parking lot, so it is a specific fund, it has to be put to a specific parking fund. We've had businesses change over on Main Street, 2-3 years later, and then they have to still pay the waivers, and then they come back.
So it's not grandfathered in, if
No,
you're in, oh,
anytime you have a new
okay,
use,
all right.
you have to come in, so, there's probably properties on Main Street that probably have, every time a new business comes in, a new use comes in,
Mm-hmm.
they have to pay a waiver. I could probably think of one property that's probably paid 3 waivers in the 10 years I've been representing the village. But that's just the way the code's written.
Okay.
And parking is a big issue in every village, every city and village in the Hudson Valley is struggling with parking.
Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Abigail.
Nice meeting and seeing everybody. I'll tell Jonathan never to go on vacation again.
Yeah.